Hey guys, back with Caddy here, and today we have my Royal Paladin Premium deck profile. Originally this did look a lot different, but then cards came out and I was like, yeah, this actually works. Because I originally built this thing as a meme, and then found out the meme worked. So, grade 3s, we have 4 Messianic Lord Blaster, and this is pretty much how the entire deck plays. None of the normal units in this deck don't have Blaster. All of the normal units have Blaster, that's what I'm trying to say. Messianic Lord Blaster's effect is during your turn, if you have 6 or more units with Blaster in their different card name, this unit gains the original power and critical of all those units. It basically becomes a one-hit kill. The reason why I don't run any units that aren't blasters in this deck is because of the second ability. When you drive check during your turn, when you drive check a unit with blaster in its card name, you can call it to rearguard. So let's say that this is on the Vanguard. I've got 3 regular units, twin drive. Oh, what's that? I've got no I didn't get any triggers, so I've probably got 2 blasters. I don't know how it'd go, but yeah. Basically, the deck pulls off this thing extremely fast. So you're basically just going to see an archive of Royal Paladin blasters as this profile. So we run 1 Majesty Lord Blaster, 1 Blaster Blade Exceed, 1 New Star Blaster Lou, and 1 Blaster Blade Burst. We do not run Exculpate for the simple fact Exculpate cannot be run in this deck. Yes, if we drive check it we can call it, but there's an issue. First of all, the original Exculpate, even though it is a grade 3 unit, if it's placed on rearguard, it is retired, so we don't want that. And the other Exculpate, the new one, is a grade 4, so we can't call it unless we were to call it through Messianic skill. On to the grade 2s, we run 2 Blaster Blade, unit of Blaster in its card name, but also does have the potential to retire something with its Vanguard or rearguard ability. Can blast 1, sword blast 1, choose new opponent's rearguards in the front row and retire it. Next we run 3 Blaster Arrow. Blaster Arrow literally there if we're going against the control matchup, as well as, another unit with Blaster in its card name. I realise my camera was out of focus, I do apologise about that. Yeah. The other thing about it though is if you have 6 or more units with Blaster in their different card names, none of those blasters can be chosen by your opponent's card effects. They can still be chosen for battle, but they can't be chosen by card effects. So if you're going against the likes of Kagero, Link Joker, Mega Colony, stuff like that, your stuff's not going. Next up, we have 2 Blaster Rapier. They're just because it's got Blaster in its card name, but also... Sorry, just checking something. But also the other thing is, if you do happen to ever attack at the Vanguard with that, and that's on rearguard, you do get to check the top card at deck. So either look for another Blaster or put a trigger on top of deck. It's very rare you're going to want to do that. And I'll explain why a little later on. 2 Blast Blade Spirit, and if you're going to call this, make sure it's in the back row. Again, another unit of Blaster in its card name, but the moment this is attacked, it must be retired, even if you guarded the attack. So yeah, if this is in the back row, it's better. Next up, we run 2 Blaster Blade Seeker. Another Blaster. 2 Blaster Javelin LaRousse, because another Blaster. Yeah, you're going to hear me say that a lot. A card that not many people seem to believe me on, even though you can clearly see it in the card name. Because when I went to Nats, people were saying, "Oh, what's that card's name?" And they were like, swordsman of Blaster Axe Crawl. And then they checked it, and yeah, literally that's the name. And then 1 V-Series Blaster Dark. I was tempted to originally run 2, but Blaster Arrow is better. Blaster Dark on place, Vanguard or Rearguard. Canvas 1, choose one of your opponent's Rearguard and retire it. Always remember to do that ability, because you're not really going to be using Counterblast much in this deck. And then actability, once per turn, if your opponent has no rearguards, discard a card from hand and this unit gains an extra drive check. So basically, let's say you have a trigger in hand and your opponent has no rearguards and you've had to ride this, which if you do gain your hand for the grade 2 ride, it is recommended to ride it. You get a twin drive, so you can fill your hand a bit more. On to the grade 1s, we have 2 Blaster Rapier Laura. They do have resist the Blaster Rapier Laura, which is quite good. Something that I do like using a lot, Blaster Javelin, which to be fair, both of the effects are quite good. Journey Palette boosted if you have Vanguard or Blaster in his card name, or Arc Saver in his card name, but we don't run any Arc Savers. This unit gains plus 2k, so it's a 10k booster. But then also auto, when it boosts, if you have 6 units Blaster in there, different card names, choose a rearguard in your opponent's front row and bind it. If you're going against an Alfred Turbo matchup, or anything that relies on a certain rearguard, just taking out rearguards one by one is very nice, and this is what that thing helps a lot with. Especially if you got that behind the Vanguard. It's just like you're binding everything that they can bring out. 3 Blaster Dagger, another Blaster, and finally 1 Blaster Fwend Barkle. Yes, I said that on purpose. Fwend. If you watch the in-betweeners, you'll get that. So yeah, you've seen every single card has Blaster, and I'll show you, I'll show you them all at the end as well. Coming into the triggers and starters, so for the start we run Wingle Brave, because if the attack it boosted hits, and it has Blaster in its card name, put Soul, search for a Blaster. We run 4 Draw PG, 4 regular Margot, that might be bad to see. 4 regular Margot, simply because 10k trigger. 4 of any other draw trigger that isn't pre-V-Series Margot, because you're already running that Margot. And then 4 Yggdrasil Maiden Elaine, because heal triggers. As far as a G-Zone goes, you don't really need one. I run 4 of this, just because it's a G-Guard that feels like it actually fits in with the theme of the deck. Other than that, stuff like Dismal. This G-Guard's effect, by the way, I should probably mention it, is when placed, Counterblast 1, if you got a Vanguard of Alfred or Blaster in its card name, this unit gains 5k for each of your rearguards. So it's basically a 40k shield, if you've got a full field. And again, since you're not really using Counterblast in this deck, that thing works. So the idea of the deck is going up to your grade 3 ride. You don't really call anything else. And you're only swinging at Vanguard. So, well, you're swinging at Vanguard. If they've got rearguards, swing at them. You're basically damage denying them. Because the moment they get counterblasts, they will use them against you. And basically, using that, going into Cynic, force 1 on the Vanguard. Probably show that it's actually a force marker. Yeah. Force 1 on the Vanguard, and then, field. That is very hard to see. And yeah, basically only swing at the Vanguard with the Vanguard. If they do have rearguards, then yeah, use these guys to take them out. But otherwise, yeah, don't let them get damage. That's all the deck is. And that's why I say, there's a lot of these effects that you won't really be using, because, well, you're damaging on your opponent. So yeah, this was a 10-minute video to literally say it runs every blaster. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that usual good stuff, and I'll see you next time.